Okay, you guys, we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm so excited. I'm going to start by saying that every Sunday night, we're going to try and keep it to 30 to 45 minutes. Okay. We're going to go over the chapters, which is listed in our chat. But I'm going to talk, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to kind of recap some things. But guys, what makes this book study so impactful is the discussion that you guys have to be willing to have with me on these calls. So when I ask these questions, they are not rhetorical. They are not just to hear myself talk. Feel free to use the chat if you're in a space where you can't speak. I still want to read your words and I'll bring those up as I see them. But please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand on the Zoom as we begin and as we ask those questions. Then, as a reminder, after the calls on Sunday nights, either that Sunday night or that Monday morning, hopefully no later than Monday morning, I will be posting inside of our chat group a little worksheet, so to speak. I don't know what else to label it. It's not really a worksheet, but it's something to work and process a little bit about the conversation we had the previous night. So tonight's conversation. So some of the questions that I will ask you guys, and I want you to utilize the chat and respond with, and be vulnerable. Use this as a safe space to talk and process and discuss and learn and apply these concepts. Will be about the call that we had the previous night. Does that make sense? So you're reading, and then we're going to talk about it, but the processing is going to be about the call that we had the previous Sunday. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to kick this off together. I've got some notes. I always pull these up because I want to hit on several things. So guys, I hope you've already enjoyed what you've read. I've heard from some of you that you've already had aha moments in the first few pages of this book. If leadership is a new concept for you, this might be shocking. If it's something that you've read, you might go, oh gosh, I needed to remember that. I know as I was reading these first 35 pages, I was like, ooh, that's a good one. And I highlighted it and I was like, I forgot about that one. That's the good one. But guys, the 5 levels of leadership, that's what this book is about, is 5 levels of leadership that you move through. It's one of the most impactful things that you can understand in particularly, and why we are here, in your network marketing business. Because there is something that he has another book, and I have read so many John Maxwell books, it's ridiculous. But one of his books is the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And one of those laws is the law of the lid. Write a 1 in the chat if you've ever heard of that phrase. Some of you may have, some of you may have not. But the law of the lid, and what that law states is you cannot grow your team, and you can apply this in the corporate world if you manage a team. Same with your household. If you're a household person managing a team like I do, I've got 7 people in my family, soon to be 8. I manage them, right? Obviously, I don't manage my husband. We do it together. I will say that. Okay, it's recorded. I'll say that. But it can impact any organization, any team, any group of people. Your leadership does. So the law of the lid states you cannot grow and make your team, your organization more effective, more productive, more successful if you do not grow your leadership. It will cap, it will create a lid, a literal lid on the success of your organization. So for these calls, we're going to talk about your team, your organization in Bravenly. And so you cannot grow your business to the next level. Literally, you cannot grow it to the next rank. You cannot grow it to the next volume milestone without growing your leadership lid. What are the leadership lids? The 5 of them right here. So this is the book you have to start out with, right? We got to learn what the 5 levels are, assess where we are, learn about them, then move through them. And then you can guess what another book study I might do later on, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's always really good later on. But guys, this right here can significantly transform your business. But here's what I need to hear from you guys, and I want to see it in the chat. You have to not just read this book and then put it away. You can't just have the words fly through your ears and go, all right, done, got it. Now I should be set, right? You have to be honest with yourself, honest and reflective with your own personal assessment instead of just pointing your fingers. It's really easy to read this book and go, oh, yep, I know what leadership level that person is. Oh, yep, I know where she needs to grow. I want you guys to focus it on yourself. You've got to apply it. Those that apply what we learn over the next couple of weeks will see transformation over the next 90 to 120 days, sometimes even sooner than that. All right. Many times you're going to discover new things about yourself. I do, even as I've read this numerous times. But here's the deal. Again, you've got to lean in, you've got to reflect honestly, and you've got to put it into practice. Okay. Leadership is the lid on everything else when it comes to your business. So we're going to lay that foundation and we're going to go ahead and get started with some key takeaways. Okay. And please, again, you guys use your chat. Okay. Use the chat and put some things in. But here's what stood out to me in the first set of 35-ish pages is he explains what leadership is. And I always like to start here, guys, because some people don't realize it. Leadership is influence. John Maxwell says leadership is not a title. It is not your rank. Just because you're on the Cancun leaderboard doesn't make you a leader. Just because you have a certain title and it says, executive director, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are a leader. Leadership is about influence. What is influence? Influence is the ability to hopefully positively positively create change, encourage someone to do something you want them to do. Okay, hopefully again in a positive way. It's influencing people. That's what leadership is. Are you able to help people do things that you coach them to do? Are they moving in the direction that you want them to move? That is what leadership is. And here's the beautiful thing. You can stretch and mold and develop your leadership. In our business, people don't just follow comp plans. In our business, they don't just follow charts or numbers or even products. What they do follow is they follow people. They follow people who inspire them. They follow people who are there for them, who guide them, and who they trust. That's the foundation of leadership. So the 5 levels, and we'll of course go deep into this, is it's in stages, guys. Number 1 is position. Number 2 is permission. 3 is production, and he oftentimes refers this as the big mo. It's where you have momentum, the big mo. Momentum kicks into your team. That's when you're hitting that 3rd level. 4th is people development, and 5 is pinnacle. And you can be at different levels with different people. Think about that. Of course, with you guys who I spend my time with, my leadership is going to look very different than my leadership with my neighbor who I don't work with, who I don't personally, develop, right? We just say hi to each other when we're putting trash cans out every once in a while, okay? So it's different with every person, just like your leadership is going to be different with every person on your team as well, okay? But you can move through that. And as new people come into your team, you have to start at level 1 and move to level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you get to with that person as they come in. And inside of your relationships with people that are already inside of your organization, you can go up and down inside of your leadership. You can build to a level 3, and then sometimes leaders make a mistake, and it shoots down to a level 1. And you've got to rebuild that. Or maybe they have something happen in their life and they are no longer as influenced by you as normal. So you've got to rebuild that relationship. Okay. So growth mindset is super important when it comes to leadership. Okay. A growth mindset. What does growth mindset mean to you? I want to see it in the chat. What does growth mindset mean to you? Someone can unmute themselves as well and share what a growth mindset means to you. Coachable. Yeah. Actively willing to learn. Yeah. Yes. Anybody else? A growth mindset. Being able to open my mind. Oh, we got a couple in there. Being able to, oh, where'd it go? We got a lot of people commenting here. Being able to open my mind to learn something new. Being willing to improve. Open to change. Stepping out of what's comfortable. Taking constructive criticism. That is so key. Being a lifelong learner. Wanting to grow in all aspects. Guys, there's a lot of times, and I'm never going to call anybody out to make them feel uncomfortable. But there's a lot of times when I coach people and they come to me and they say, I'm so willing to learn. I'm so coachable. Just tell me what I need to hear. And I'll tell them something that they don't necessarily want to hear. And they fight me on it a little bit. And they go, I didn't mean it that way. Oh, I actually, that's not really what I did. Oh, but, you misunderstood. Have you ever experienced that? Or maybe you've ever done that? I mean, I've done that. I've done that before. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just found myself having to defend myself to somebody I'm trying to be coached by. Maybe my mindset isn't where it needs to be. Okay. If somebody is in a position where you want to be, I encourage you to listen to them. They're not always right. Okay. They're not. But I do encourage you to listen to constructive feedback that they offer. There's a reason that they offer it, especially if you're going to somebody that you really trust. Okay. So leadership is not fixed. Okay. That's part of the growth mindset. It's not a personality trait that you're just born with or not. Some people are more apt to grow in their leadership and have influence than others, but that does not mean that you cannot grow in your leadership. Does not mean that one person can and one person cannot. The truth is, your team's potential is going to be capped by where your leadership is. That's what we've talked about, guys. So you have to figure out how to have a growth mindset. Like, period. You don't have a choice here. If you truly want your team to grow and you to get to the next level, sorry, friends, buck up, Buttercup. We're growing together, okay? And part of growth is uncomfortable. I've got one daughter right now, and she comes to me all the time. She's like, Mom, my legs hurt. My legs hurt. And I'm like, oh, those are growing pains, babe. Those are growing pains. They're physical. They can be physical pains, but they can also be some mental pains of growth. But I promise you, it is worth it. So put a 1 in the chat if you guys finished your assessment. There were 3 parts of that assessment: a personal assessment, and then assessing others and having some others assess you. But did you do the assessment on yourself? Did you do the little check boxes and see all that? Okay, I see lots of 1s, so that means yes. Okay, again, I encourage you guys that this is a safe space. Okay, no one here, I'm saying it. So it's law tonight, okay? No one here is judging anybody about where they currently are. Got it? Shake your head. Got it? We're not judging anybody, okay? So I want you guys to be honest and open. Please go and put in the chat what level of leadership you think you are at based on the assessment, okay? Oh, and if the Audible didn't have the assessment, oh, you gotta do it. It's gotta. Does the Audible have the assessment? I have the physical book. Let us know. It does. It does. Well, I've got Amy Spence. Yes, it does. Okay, keep going. We've got level 1, level 2. This is all so good, you guys. Level 1, a level 3, level 2. Keep going. I'm reading them. Yes. Level 2, between a level 2 and 3. That's very possible. Level 2. I love all of these reflections, guys. And yes, I love it. So who is that? Amy says, I'm being honest here. I think I'm here. Yeah. It's okay to figure out where you think you are and move through it. And we're going to dive deeper. This is a quick little assessment, okay? We're going to dive deeper and you'll figure that out. But we all have so much growth and learning we can do, including myself. I'm not setting myself above this. I'm doing this with you guys, right? So I want to open this for some discussion here. I want to process what we've read. So I want to hear from at least one person what struck you the most about the idea that leadership is influence. What struck you the most? What was an aha moment? You can put it in the chat, you can unmute, about the idea that leadership is actually tied to influence. Did anybody have an aha moment about that? Or was it confirmation for somebody? What do you think about that?
Well, I think okay, I didn't get as far as I was supposed to, so don't get mad at me. But I kind of think that it was, I mean, I knew that. I knew that people of influence and people with loud voices and things like that, like they can show up and maybe be viewed as leaders, but that doesn't mean they are a leader. So I actually was like kind of blown away that just because you have influence, just because you have a loud voice, just because you have a personality where people follow you and people, because people are attracted to extroverts and people who have voices and are stand up for what they believe in and confident people, or if they're confident in themselves, people are attracted to that. But it really made me think that like that doesn't mean you are a leader and that you have like you're respected as a leader. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't
I
know. I'm
do.
just kind of like baffled by it. And I think that one thing that I really am getting real with myself is I'm not as good as I think I am, or I'm not as good as I thought I was. Like I know I'm good, but like, I have so much growth. And if you guys get really real and honest with yourselves, you're going to realize that like all of us have so much. I mean, it's just my mind's kind of baffled, honestly.
Yes. I love that you pointed that out because it's one of those things where just because you're an influencer doesn't mean you're a leader, right? But if you're a leader, you are an influencer. It doesn't go both ways, right? And I think that's what Amy was saying here. And it's a great thing to point out. Just because you're an influencer doesn't mean you're a leader, right? There is a difference there. I'm curious what, and Amy, you can unmute if you want, or somebody else. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you can be an influencer, someone who's loud and people listen to, like Amy described? You can be an influencer, but not a leader. But if you're a leader, you are an influencer. Someone break that down. What does that mean to you?
A leader levels other people up. An influencer just gets you to do what I'm doing.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like
Like
that.
that's how
I
I
like that
took it
breakdown.
on my run because I was like, wow, I can get somebody to run with me at my pace, but can I get them to go faster than I'm going?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I think
So
the other thing too is you're right. You can influence people to do things, but there's a caveat. Is it empowering them to better themselves, drive out their potential, develop them into raising their leadership lid when they might not even realize that's what you're doing, right? That's the influence that we're looking for. Yes, Chrissy. Yes, absolutely. Okay, next question. Did the assessment surprise you in any way? I expect some responses here. Did the assessment surprise you in any way? Any questions surprise you? Any questions on a certain level go, "Oh, I hadn't thought about that," or "Oh, I thought I was good at that and I'm not so good at that," or "Ah, that is something I need to participate in more." What area of the assessment surprised you or made you realize something?
I think for me, going through it, in some ways it's tricky to try to apply because this is such like a corporate world. It's like as I'm reading it, I'm picturing like like a car salesman and just like the corporate world. And so for me, there was this dichotomy between like my full-time job right now. I'm basically a physician at an outpatient clinic, and so they have it set up to where like I'm sort of my own. I mean, I can kind of pick my own schedule, sort of, but then if you don't produce, they can screw with my salary for next year. And so I'm an employee, but I'm not really my own, but I don't have subordinates, if you will, like, because everybody's an employee of the hospital. So like I don't have my own employees. I have some students and people that I'm like mentoring in terms of the field. So there's like that side, and like within that side, I think there's a lot more influence, and it's kind of inherent in some level. I mean, once you've gotten to where I'm at. So some of it's positional, and yet I think the people that have known me longer, that is deeper, right? And so, but I think for me, what I realized is that I have a lot more influence in that world than I do in this world. And so, um, yeah, and it's just kind of interesting. I mean, it's going to be fun to see it, how it all, grows and pans out. And it's interesting, and the people that I have the most influence with, of course, are my patients, but I can't talk to them about Ravenly. So
Right, we got to protect that line of
right,
conflict of
which
interest
stinks.
there.
But that's
Yes.
okay. But I'm in my hometown now, and Amy's in my hometown. I just found that out. Amy Spence lives in the same town I do.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know. But and I don't know, it's the show me state. There's something about Missouri. Everybody's just like sus and not quick to jump on anything. Seriously, there's something about the show me state that's like so real. And I mean, I've got all these people, I don't know. I'm also old and I don't have time for people to just be slow about their decisions. And so I'm just like, y'all, look, you are like a hot mess of inflammation. You need to just do this. And I'm like, ho hum, 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 and I didn't really say that, but anyway. So yeah.
I love
know
your
I got lots of
takeaways,
growth.
though. I love your takeaways, how you're going, okay, you're an example of somebody that works full time, but also does Bravenly. So you have two areas of your life where you're like, okay, my leadership level is very different in my full-time job just because of time and the time that I've had to develop those relationships, and also positional versus something that you just recently started here at Bravenly. And it does grow. It even says that in the book where it says, for example, many of you guys know that I came from 10 years of being at one company and had a level of leadership there. But when I came here, guess where I started? Level one. I started back at level one leadership and I had to grow that. But it is very, very possible. Anybody else have any surprises in that assessment as you were looking at the questions or looking at the different levels? I see Jackie says, I didn't realize areas that I wasn't being a leader like I thought. Yeah, there's a lot of self-reflection that's going to happen in this book. Yeah. Yeah. All right, I want to ask you guys this next question. Or did I speak over somebody? Was somebody wanting to talk?
I was just gonna say that I think it's easy, kind of like what she was saying, where you work at and you're comfortable working and you know the job, it's easy to be an influencer, a leader there because you know it. Getting into something that you don't know, like I don't know this very well because I just started in September. It's hard to be that influence. It's a complete different ball game because it's something new that you have to learn about. So it seems like you're going to always start. It's like starting a new job. You're going to start at at the bottom and work your way up until you get comfortable and know everything, understand it better.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right, Andrea. And what we'll talk about next week is when we dive into level 1 and level 2, which is position and permission. You'll see how, to your point, you've got to gain the fundamentals in the position, which is level 1, to then move to level 2, which is where people give you permission. They trust you. You have the confidence, you have the know-how, and you build into a level 2, right? Growing into that. Okay, the next question I want to ask you guys, and I want at least 4 people to hop on and I want to hear, not just chat. How do you think your leadership growth could impact your team's growth this quarter if you raised one level? If you raised one level over this quarter, what do you think that would do, various ways, for your team's growth this quarter?
I would have some major duplication going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Expand on that. Why would you have duplication?
So I mean, I like how Amy worded her where she's at level wise. Like I would say I'm a level 2, working toward that level 3. Some of the feedback from my leaders said, or my whatever person rolled, it's like they ranked me at a 3, but I don't quite see myself there. But if I could get to level 3, that means they're at least, I help them raise up to the level 1, level 2, and they are now doing what I'm doing now and leading with permission and growing their business.
Yes, I love that you said that. When that's the connection I was looking for, is when you raise your leadership, you inherently will raise the leadership of some, not all, of some underneath you, right? And when that happens, and you raise their leadership lid and their productivity and their permission, now they're able to attract people of higher leadership, of higher influence. They're able to get more things done, more productivity done under the same energy that you're spending right now, right? Growing your leadership lid doesn't necessarily take more energy. It takes time, okay? It takes effort. But what I do now versus when I was trying to build from level 2 to level 3, it was still taking energy of me. It's just different energy. Does that make sense? And so you're going to get to a point where you're still doing the same energy, but you're more productive because you have figured out a way to gain stronger influence. Does that make sense? Right? Who else wants to answer that question? What would it do for your team to raise your lid?
Well, I think, can you hear me, Tara?
Yes, I can.
I'm driving because I am going somewhere. Anyways, I think, like she said, that didn't look to see who was talking last because I am driving, but you're going to get more people. You're going to raise more people up to do the things, and then it allows you to even work on going up to the next level, which is only going to allow other people to move up. And so, like, it was interesting to me because if I'm being honest, when I joined my last company, I was very much considered a leader, like, I mean, very well respected throughout the company. But it was, I'm not going to lie, you guys, like, I had those qualities, I guess, always, like the confidence and just like I go after what I want and I get it and things like that. But it was very much like positional because went into a company with momentum and I had a couple skills that got me to the top of the company because the company was in full blown momentum. And so I got to the top of the company in 13 months. And it wasn't just by me doing that because it was just like because the company was in momentum and I had great people join, right? But I was not, we grew so fast and I did leadership, growing my leadership and development was not something that I was even like, I didn't have a leader like this doing this. We didn't do really book studies the first 5 years that we were a part of the company. We didn't really open it up to the whole team. Like we had this like, you know, by rank circle. And like one of the biggest things I realized is that we've got leaders in our business who aren't even senior brand partners yet that are have way more leadership qualities than some of the people who are SEDs on our team. You know what I mean? Like like rank means nothing. And to get the respect of your team, like rank, like I don't even like to look at myself as my rank when I'm talking to my team because it means nothing. I've learned that in 12 years. But I just think that how we are doing this and we are trying to develop the people who are joining us at all different levels and how we are even being very looking in the mirror and really being truthful and self-reflection on where you really are will allow you to be honest with your team. And then that's just going to allow us to, because if we can do this, guys, if we can all like really put this is a high priority developing people, because I mean that's what the last thing I heard him say in the book, which by the way I did not get very far, was basically like very few people get to level 5. And in order to even get to level 5, you got to get to level 4. And level 4 is like developing people. You know, you've got to be in the trenches with people. And that's something I'm going to be honest with y'all because this is a safe spot. And some of my team is on here. So whatever, you guys, y'all know I'm an honest book, open book. But I didn't develop people in my last company. I was always like, I would even think, you know, I had such a huge team that I would even, I mean, I was only focused on what they were doing and growth and numbers and all that, where like you lose sight of like, you have to develop people. You have to get in the trenches with them. And the more you spend with your people, you may not get to the rank that you want the quickest, but the more we develop the people, the more we will have stability. And I can honestly say I've done that more here in Bravenly than I ever have in my 12 years. And that's why I know my team is so solid. And I have some of the strongest leaders, even though we're not at the ranks yet, like the top of the company. And no one's quit on us. Like, I have not had one single person that has done something here that's quit in over 17 months. And it's because I've been in the trenches with them for the most part. And so I just want you guys to know that, like, I don't know, that was kind of opening, and I'm sorry I rambled, but I just am excited about this book. I love him, and I've never read this book of his ever.
I love everything you shared, and it's brought me to a point that I wasn't necessarily going to say tonight, but I definitely think it's applicable. One of the reasons that I am so passionate, especially now, on leadership development, and when I say now, I mean now in the timing of Bravenly, right? The timing of Bravenly right now is because I was a part of a company, and Amy hit on this. She was a part of a different company, but our timelines and the way that we grew were very similar. But I was a part of a company when I started. I happened to join in the smack middle of momentum. And I grew not only because of, who I was and what I did, but also I grew just because the company itself was growing so fast. And so Bravenly will get there, you guys. My point is, when a company is in momentum like that, where we're headed, what will inevitably happen is you will gain what's called accidental leaders in your team. You might become an accidental leader. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad word, okay? But what that means is when somebody has a lot of growth in their downline, maybe because one or two people that have true leadership underneath them come underneath them and grow that team, but the leader at the top of that team isn't quite there yet with their own leadership, and they are now an accidental leader because of their rank, but they don't quite know how to navigate and get that team to the next level. Okay? My passion comes from, I saw that happen a ton at my former company, and that's kind of what Amy was talking about is, her volume grew so fast and they were focused on the numbers, but there was no people development happening in her bigger team. If I heard you right, Amy, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. That's what I feel like I heard you say. That's what I don't want to happen on our team or in our company. Because what ends up happening is if you have a team full of so-called accidental leaders, and we will have that happen, do not mishear me. We are on trajectory to be in massive momentum. And what that means is you're going to have volume growth just because you're here. Hey, I'm not hating it. Okay. It's going to happen. I'm excited about it. But what I don't want to happen for you guys is for you to have that happen, but then you still cap. Even though you have that volume, you cap at your leadership, and then you can't develop leaders underneath you. And you have all this volume, but what ends up happening is even with all that volume and that growth, you're having things slip from underneath you and people quit and things falling through, and you're not actually developing to the potential that you actually could.
That right there, Tara.
Yes.
That right there, because that is what happened. And it doesn't matter how big you are, much volume you have, if you are not growing yourself, like that's the biggest thing. Like, we should all be so thankful that Tara, is doing these book studies, and I know people have tried to do them in the past and all that, and I try to do them and I always fail because whatever. But anyways, you have to personal growth is so important in this business, and then taking what you learn and getting your team obsessed with that as well, because that's what happened. It slips away, and then all of a sudden you wake up and it's just people aren't developing, and so they leave.
That's exactly right. And then so we talked about what that does for your team. We just said that. Amy and I both just said that. But what does it mean for Bravenly? It means that Bravenly will get stuck as a company, and we won't get to $1 billion. If we are filled with a field of accidental leaders, not truly raising the lid of other people underneath us, then our company will cap. Ain't no way we're letting that happen. right? We are set to be $1 billion company, multi-billion dollar company. But the way that we do that is we teach people to develop people underneath us. Raise your hand if you could walk away from your business right now and somebody could step in and take over or at least run part of your business for you. Raise your hand if you could do that. It's okay, right? But that's the truth. None of us are there yet. That's okay. But that's the end goal. If you're thinking, I want to be the top recruiter and I want to be the top enroller and I want to have my name in lights and on the flashing boards and that's going to make me a leader and I want to be the one on stages and I want to be the one da 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 da. It's not necessarily talking about ego here, a little bit there, but your goal as someone who's moving through the levels of leadership should be to find people who are better than you. You want to create people who are better than you, who raise higher than you, that where if life happens, you can step back and your business does not fall apart, right? That it continues on and you've developed people, not just developed rank, not just developed somebody hitting higher volume, not just having more people hit contests. That's all great. That will indirectly happen, but you've got to also be developing the people underneath you. And how do you do that? It starts with you. It starts with you developing through the levels. You going, okay, I think I'm here, but let me be honest. I'm going to look at these. And again, we're going to dive into them and really assess. And this isn't to knock you down. This isn't to be like, oh, you thought you were this level? No, you're not. That's not what this is. It's about honest reflection of going, oh, that is an area that I can develop. Okay. And that's how we grow. When you do that, the volume will happen. The volume will happen when you do that. I would much rather take 12 months to build a solid business on concrete than skyrocket over 4 months, build it on sand only to watch it fall apart over 60 days. Right? Nod your head if you're with me. I want something that lasts. I don't want pier and beam. I don't want sand. I don't want stilts. We see the Outer Banks homes falling right now in the ocean. I don't want that. That's literally happening out there in North Carolina. What we want, or South Carolina, what we want is solid concrete foundation. If that takes a little bit of time because we are having to develop ourselves so that then we can develop others and truly identify people in your downline and go, okay, I'm going to pour into that human being, not just the points, but the human being to develop them so that they become more effective leading other people. That is the goal. Amen. That is the goal, right? And that's what we want to do. Okay. So this week we're going to wrap up. It's been about 40 minutes. We're going to wrap up this week. I want you, if you did not complete the assessment honestly, don't fly through it just to fly through it. Go back to it and retake it. And actually, I'm going to make everybody do that. I'm going to make you do it. I don't like that language, but I'm going to make you do it. I want you to redo it. Please redo it. Do it again on a different day when you're in a different mindset. Take it again and be really stinking honest with yourself. And then I want you, write this down. I want you to write a short paragraph on why you think you are at that level. Write a short paragraph about why you think you are at that level. And the third thing I want you to do is that I want you to write one sentence, doesn't have to be a paragraph, one sentence, describing the kind of leader that you want to become over the next 6 months. List out traits. How do you want to be seen? How do you want to impact others? What do you want your day to look like? Your months to look like? How would you want others to describe your leadership? Okay. And those two things, again, this is a safe space. I do want you to put them in our chat. Okay. This isn't to make you feel knocked down. I want honest reflection because in order to have growth, you have to have honesty. Is that not true? Or is that true? It's true. Okay? It's true. Remember, we're all raising the lid together, myself included. The growth you invest here is going to ripple, and I cannot wait to see what happens over the next week. I'll also add in that little worksheet tonight or tomorrow. All right, you guys, thanks for a great first call. We'll see you around.